I'm Subhanu and I've had the fortune of a very varied career without any real career planning, but just had great opportunities. So I worked in both finance, strategic consulting at BCG, the consumer industry with PepsiCo, and then about 20 years in the healthcare pharmaceutical industry with Novartis, and as global CEO of Cipla, and currently in the world of private equity and also doing some work with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. I think transitions are great moments in one's personal and professional career because they have both challenges but immense opportunities to grow as a person. I got the chance to go and work in Russia, in Moscow. This was with PepsiCo, and my children were young at the time. Professionally, I knew it would be an amazing opportunity. And I've always had the view that life is about getting rich experiences, and how often would I get a chance to go and work in such a difficult operating environment on a turnaround assignment? So I asked the organization to just show we wouldn't get shot at, and we did a look-see, and I give credit to my wife. She said, our children are young, this is the time to see the world, let's go for it. And we had 2 very challenging but very exciting years. Well, it was my first move into a line role. So I think an important transition for anyone in their career is to move from, shall we say, a staff or strategic role into a line operating environment. That's number 1. Number 2, it was a new experience. It was a turnaround. And 3, it was a new cultural experience. I would say what was the easiest or simplest part of the role, the move, is we made an important decision early, which was we're not going to recreate the suburbia we were leaving. And I think that's an important learning for anyone who's making moves across borders into different environments. Sometimes you try and recreate the suburbia you've left, and then you'll always be disappointed and you'll struggle, versus going for the experience that you will gain. So as an example, I love languages, so I thought it was what a wonderful chance to learn Russian. So I picked a driver who couldn't speak English, just that would force me to learn Russian. And I think that turned the whole thing into an adventure and made a lot of the transition much more straightforward. The biggest challenge was learning the business and becoming an operator in a very difficult environment. That's why I went. Plus, there was a sense, I think, in the local team that I'd been sent from headquarters as the spy. And therefore, the first thing was to build credibility that I'm part of the team. I mean, I'm here with a new general manager to really enable and build the business together. So I think a lot of my early time was just establishing a lot of human relationships with people and showing that I have no agenda. I'm humble before the facts and the data. And our common objective is to turn around a business that was losing $100 million a year, that had a very long payback, where some of the fundamental assumptions of the business were just not coming together. Now, to do that, you have to really get stuck into the business. How do you get stuck into a business in Russia when you don't know the language? It's a pretty steep learning curve. But my big learning on that was whatever you think, you always assume you need to know 10x, whereas in fact 3x gets you a long way. So I don't shirk from actually going out there and acquiring new experiences or new opportunities to learn and look at the business. And don't do it from your desk. Most of our businesses happen out with customers in the field, and that's a lot how you get credibility. So that was the first time I set myself a personal goal, that I should not have to read a single piece of market research. I should be able to get all of my insights from the market and customers directly. If I were to advise somebody who's going through transitions, the 3 things I'd ask them to keep top of mind would be, first is enjoy the adventure. A fantastic opportunity is being presented to you, and to really look at it as a life enriching experience. If you look at it as a stepping stone to a career ladder, and that if you pass or fail, it has this monumental consequence on your career, you're putting way too much pressure on yourself versus an incredible chance to learn and grow as a person. The second bit of advice is be very thoughtful and planful as to how you would spend the first 3 months to get to know the organization, to get to know the business and the market, and to get to know the people. And really invest time in letting people know you as a human being, as a person, what makes you tick, and what really you bring to the table. So people see the value you bring. I think the third advice I would give when you go through any transition is look for the early wins, for two reasons. One is for your own self-confidence that I can do this, and second, for the organization you're becoming part of to be able to see, okay, this person can add value, and this move made a lot of sense. And it could be the simplest of wins. It doesn't have to be an Olympian achievement, but focus on delivering things that you can celebrate early in any transition to build self and mutual confidence in the role that you're going into. If there's one final thing I would just say is have fun. And that question, ask yourself before you take any transition. Some transitions are forced on us, some we choose. Ask yourself, what's the worst thing that can happen to me? And if you can survive the worst case, then it should give you some confidence that this will be a positive experience. If you can't, then maybe you should think twice about taking that transition, because Mother Nature has a way of making the worst case happen sometimes. But if you go in with that mindset, then everything is an upside. There will be challenges, there will be disasters around the corner, but it will really kind of enrich your outlook when you take on a new transition.